Google. Let's go get them again.
Welcome back to another episode of Samplin Samples on my channel. Today we are delving into the brand of Jean-Paul Gaultier, of course, in the Le Male fame. I took out some of my bottles here from my collection. I'm a huge Le Male fanboy. The original Le Male was my signature scent back in my teens. I've had many years. I went through many bottles of it, and as you can tell, I went throughout the years. I remember when Le Male in the early 2000s, when I first started my YouTube channel, you know, they had summer editions. You probably don't recognize any of these. Well, I bought a couple, but then it kind of faded fast. But they really didn't know what to do with that line back then. But oh, did it blossom, and oh, did it blossom fast. Now, a lot of people were telling me, because I did a video 2 years ago on Elixir, and it wasn't a very favorable one. It definitely isn't a great fragrance. Honestly, if your age doesn't start with a 1 and then another number, or a 2 and another number, you shouldn't be wearing this. And I'm just kidding. Yes, you can put them in a box scents and go, okay, yeah, this is for teens and it's for kids. The TikTok generation, right? People with a little more class, a little more taste in fragrances, and kind of almost want to kind of think about their fragrance and go, huh, right, development, scent profile. Is this really a good tonka bean scent? No. And again, it doesn't have to be that way. We're all in this little hobby together, sharing these platforms on social media and giving our thoughts on scent profiles. It doesn't always have to be serious. It doesn't always have to be, again, I wear my Le Male, and it has a good balance of art and fun. Honestly, it used to be like a club fragrance back in the day, if you didn't know. So we are talking today. I have a little sample of the new Le Male Elixir called Le Male Elixir Absolu. So, you know, we got a flanker of a flanker now, which is not rare anymore. It's happening, right? And I think I'm trying to think, like the first real flanker that really popped off was probably La Nuit de l'Homme by YSL, where it almost branched off and made its own thing. It was a flanker of L'Homme, and it just really snowballed into something else. So the TikTok generation will rejoice and call this amazing, right? I'm kind of early here with my sample. I'm real early right now, but they're going to call this amazing. You just watch. All you need is a sexy note breakdown, right? We got PLUM in the note breakdown. There you go. The TikTokers, the people that aren't into perfume are just gonna be like, oh, the PLUM is amazing. It's so amazing. It's so different. The PLUM is, oh, it's everything. No, it's not. I'm sorry, but the PLUM sucks in here. I'm just being honest. Now, they are going to do that as a new note. I've been around so long in the social media thing. I know exactly what's gonna happen. I can see the thumbnails now with a PLUM right there. Oh, amazing. Don't fall for it, okay? Unless you have a YouTube channel and you're making money off your YouTube channel, don't buy this straight out of the gate. You're paying a premium, you know that, right? Do you need this right away? Tell yourself that. I was new in the hobby too, and I was just buying everything that was new. I slapped myself and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, even I have a YouTube channel. It does bring me some income, and yes, I could use the income on stuff like this and be like everybody else and go, I got the bottle. But you notice your favorite influencer, the bottle is it's right up to the brim. They haven't tested it. You know, I'm giving you 3 days of testing here. So don't fall for it. But going back to this fragrance, and yeah, all of these bottles, by the way, I don't think I finished the story. These are all for the decant site. All of these are empty. So you've seen a bunch on my shelf, and some people have tried to call me out and go, oh, you said you didn't like it. This is my bottle. It's still full. Everything else here is just for display. It's practically empty. There's hardly anything in any of these because it is for the decant site. So I gave this on Sampling Samples back in the day a 7 out of 10. So we're gonna see what this one does. But for the record, they are killing my Le Male. And I think this flanker right here finally put the last nail into the coffin. It ended it for good. This fragrance does not resemble my baby anymore. This fragrance could have been done by Azzaro. It could have been done by Paco Rabanne. You put like a little Azzaro wanted sticker on it. You put a little, you put a 1 million gold bullion on it. And that's the problem with these brands, is that when they first launched Le Male, it was interesting, it was new. They did their thing. 1 million, it had its personality. Now 1 million flanker smells exactly like a Le Male flanker that smells exactly like an Azar Wanted flanker. It's just a whole circle. Everything you smell like everybody else. So this is the issue with these brands. Quentin Bisch, as much as anybody that has is a teenager and 20 something on TikTok and YouTube and they're praising him, they're like, oh my God, amazing perfumier. Akigala wood and Tonka fog does not make you an amazing perfumier. Just because you get all these briefs and they sell, I haven't seen any, I don't want to put the guy and put him under and go like he's garbage, but oh my God, like as far as anything as quality and it's not about the materials but the perfumier. I always say that, right? It's not about, oh, it's like the best grapefruit in the game and people are saying, well, materials are the same. They are, but it's the nose that built it that made it a little different, gives it a tart note. So it's all about talent. And Quentin, anybody that's been in this fragrance game will kind of attest that. They'll be like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. So if you're new here, welcome to the Robezoid channel. Honest truth, sometimes a truth that may hurt, but your best friends, I've always said this, your best friends, online, offline, whatever, are the ones that are going to sit you down and go, hey, right? I've sat down with some YouTubers and I'm like, they've told me their story and they're trying to keep up with the Joneses, like buying all these brand new releases and shooting videos, not getting the views that they want. And I just sat them down and I'm like, you want the truth or you just want to sugarcoat and go, I can tell you, keep going. Someday you'll do it, reach your goals, reach the stars. And it's always a good story. But at the same time, you're in debt. Why? Because you just bought the new Dolce & Gabbana, you bought the new Boss bottle, and you wanted to be first, and you thought that you were going to get 10,000 subscribers, and you just spent $300 on a Hugo Boss and some garbage. Yeah, some things with this community. Anyway, but yeah, hit that subscribe button if you want the truth, the honest truth. And again, my truth isn't your truth. But at least I'm being truthful. I'm not here to look on Fragrantica like a lot of fragrance reviewers, and I mean a lot, parrot exactly what's in the comments on these fragrances. They say exactly what some people say. They look on how popular it is on Fragrantica. One day I was kind of wishing, let's shut down Fragrantica for like 3 months and see how YouTube influencers do on their own. Let's see how you do. Now, let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats on this one. This one's released in 2025. It's starting to trickle through. I think Europeans got it first. I think I saw a couple reviews on it already from the United Kingdom. Nose, there's no nose attached yet. It's too new. And that's the one thing with a lot of my recent sampling samples is this stuff's too new now. I'm just like, well, would it be Quentin Bisch returning? It would be a good bet. If not, they used his recipe, and Quentin Bisch, honestly, he's a perfumier in a fragrance house, which means I think he's Givaudan. I think, I might be wrong, but those materials are theirs to use. So he doesn't actually even own these things. He's a hired gun. So they could go to Givaudan or wherever he's, I'm trying to remember, I don't remember. They could use another perfumier, but some materials are, proprietary for Givaudan, IFF. They all have their own proprietary stuff that you want to smell, like another fragrance, we'll say. So the notes in here, they gave us the typical designer 3-note breakdown: lavender up top, plum in the mid, and tonka bean in the back end. So whatever's left of the original Le Male, which was vanilla, the big three, mint, vanilla, and lavender, we're left with a tonka fog. That doesn't smell like tonka bean, by the way. Tonka bean has two major facets of tonka bean. There's a lot of facets, right? It can be powdery, it's vanillic, that's one of the major things, but it gives out a cherry vibe. A really good tonka bean will give you those three-dimensionals, vanilla, cherry, and of course an almond vibe, which is huge. That's where I go, you know, one perfumier does an amazing job with a certain note and another. This Quentin Bisch uses this flat tonka bean, which smells only vanillic and powdery, kind of creamy a bit, but it's a big fog. That's what I call it. It has no personality. The big notes to my nose, it's just those three. So I'm just gonna go, I think, honestly, sorry to say, I'm not your influencer, so I'm not going to emphasize the plum, but lavender and tonka bean are your big notes. Those are the ones that are going to run through the veins of this fragrance. It's actually the fragrance. There's not much else to this fragrance here. So right off the bat, let's, this is a dabber one. I went cheap. I didn't even go atomizer, but I am wearing it today. There's not much left to this thing, so I'm just going to remind me of this intro. But we are going to launch it. Launched. Didn't break, no, okay. And I got it on, strip, of course, while I was testing. So, where do we start? Well, right off the bat, this thing came off sweet, as per usual, creamy, gourmand, yes, and powdery. The Bisch Tonka Bomb, or Tonka Fog, whatever you want to call it, has returned. If the nose isn't him, they use the exact same compound that he utilized in Elixir, because it's back. So you know how unimpressed I was with the original Elixir, you know, giving it a 7 out of 10, which is a not bad score. It's under 5, but it's not a 10 out of 10 like everybody else is saying, and everybody else has the same taste apparently, and that's the thing. This is the fragrance community. This is your influencers. We all look the same. We all say the same thing. This used to be the fragrance community. We all had different, you know, different colors and different sizes, and we just all say different things. And we weren't afraid of saying something that's different from Fragrantica. Now, how unimpressed I was with the original Elixir. Well, they have a lot less moving parts in this release than they did with the Elixir here. So in this new release, there's a lot less things kind of, you know, it was still a Tonka Fog and a bomb. However, there's more moving pieces. And this makes this fragrance personally much thinner than the original Elixir. So the lavender is back from the mall fame, thank God. And Elixir fame as well. There was a big lavender note in here. And actually the lavender note saved this one for me. It gave it, that probably would have been like a 5 out of 10 if it didn't have the lavender in it, honestly. But it's the only note in here with actual personality and holds the fragrance together. It's just like the Elixir. It's the lavender is keeping this thing alive for me personally. Everything else in here has hardly, if any, personality. Now, from first sniff, this smells almost exactly like Le Male Elixir. And that's where I kind of have an issue, like lazy perfumery, yeah. So let's tackle the plum, because that's the sexy note. People want to talk about the plum. Your favorite fragrance reviewer is going to be talking about the plum like they're red in the face. They're going to say how amazing it is, how big it is, and all that. And guess what? Guess what? Your favorite TikToker is going to pounce on this note, because it's the sexy note in this note breakdown. The plum is hardly there. My first wearing of this sample a few days back, I put it on strip and I put it on skin, okay? My first wearing on skin, I almost had to imagine plum. I was closing my eyes and I'm like, there's plum in here, there's plum in here. Where's the plum? There was no plum on my skin at all. It was like I was wearing the original Elixir. I'm not kidding. It was hardly there. My first wearing, I had to imagine it was there. It didn't register it. The strip did. So it was there. So the strip and my second wearing, then it showed up. So it took me some time with this plum, okay? The plum's not strong. The plum gives the scent some fruity nuances. Absolutely. Yes, it does. But I've met better plum notes almost anywhere and everywhere. Like any fragrance designer. Look, I did a review on a woman's fragrance, and I'm going to be real quick here because I don't want to kill your time, but I decanted this months ago. Gucci Guilty Intense Parfum, a woman's fragrance. This has, I'm not saying they smell alike. I don't. I'm comparing the plum. The plum in that which is a Gucci product, which is the, you know, basically this is more expensive than this, kills the PLUM in this thing. Like the PLUM in Elixir is definitely not huge, and it's not very good. Honestly, that PLUM note destroy this. That's just one example off the top of my head. A designer fragrance, not even niche. It's just one example of what you could do with a PLUM note in a designer fragrance and actually do a really, really good job. Unfortunately, with this influencer thing, they're going to take the sexy note and they're going to run with it with all of you on the internet. It was extremely underwhelming as a note. So the only new note and the only sexy, real note that all these kids want to smell underwhelms, which isn't a good sign, right? Things like Plum Japonais by Tom Ford, don't even mention it in the same wording as this fragrance. Absolutely not, among others, right? So the PLUM is like a nondescript fruity note that will give you a little bit of fruity punch up top, but going into the mid, say goodbye to the PLUM. And it's a vanilla fog that's carrying us as per usual. So the PLUM starts going on fumes here and it's gonna leave. It's starting to more and more start smelling like this guy right here, Elixir. Perhaps a little more fresh and a little less sweet. So people will say, oh, this is a little more grown-up version, but honestly, if you don't like sweet fragrances off the cuff, you're not gonna like this anyway. I'm trying to find the Le Male DNA in here. She's gone, and I mean she's long gone. The lavender is still solid here and still helps the smoothness of Elixir Absolu, but that's what it did in Elixir as well. It has a bigger piece in this particular fragrance because there's less going on in this background. So the longer it goes on skin, the worse it gets. It's more of a TONKA bomb, and it isn't a very good one. Like Elixir, I said it didn't have a cherry note, almond. Where are the nice nuances of a TONKA bean? It really has nothing beautiful from the TONKA note. It's a sweet, vanillic, powdery bomb with a creamy aspect, which is helped by the lavender. I think I saw one person, I don't know if it was Fragrantica or YouTube, but saying they get an iris in here. And that's gonna start snowballing in the community. I could tell. You know, they're trying to grasp at straws here. Is there iris in here? I didn't smell any, and I'm a pretty big iris guy. If it is, it's a very synthetic iris, not a very good one. For me, it was more of a mix between the lavender floral, which has a bigger role in this back end because it's less busy. So it shares the spotlight with that TONKA bomb, and it gives this scent that smoothness. And that powdery TONKA gives you that imagery that you think maybe you're smelling iris in here, maybe, when you really don't. But again, looking for something to grasp on that, yeah, this is different, it's quality, there's iris in here, I swear. What's the next thing? Next thing is they're gonna smell some sort of woody oud in here. Come on, boys. Oh, we're better than that, aren't we, fragrance community? As far as build goes, this fragrance is a big cloud of emptiness. It's a little less sweet bomb from the Elixir beside me here and gives the lavender a bigger piece of the pie. That lavender, of course, has, you know, almost like a 50-50 with the TONKA in the dry down. So it's a lot more prominent than in this thing right here, even though it's pretty prominent in here. The lavender keeps this one together just like it did in the Elixir. Overall, if you're expecting a denser, deeper Elixir, because it says Absolu on the bottle and it has, you know, full gold bottle, this isn't it. If you're expecting a show-stopping PLUM, look away. This isn't it. I didn't think much of Elixir, but I think they even took a step back here. It feels lighter than the original. And unfortunately with that, the performance is going to take a hit as well. So unfortunately this thing, and again, I hate, you know, fragrance reviews that, you know, I want to give positives and negatives always. A good fragrance reviewer will give you a good story, a bad story, and kind of stuff in between. You know, the good thing about this, lavender. It really is a solid one. It doesn't smell like dryer sheet. It's not super synthetic. I've smelled really bad ones. I've smelled better ones, but it still holds, you know, it's the last light of my original Le Male. That's basically it. Everything else in here, the TONKA is absolute garbage. It's a teeny bopper, 10-year-old, 12-year-old. tonka bean, sweet thing, fog. There's nothing in the background here. There's no real transitions. You lose plum. That's your transition. And then people are grasping at straws going, oh, yeah, there's iris in here. No, no, no. It's the lavender and tonka kind of mixing each other up. And honestly, if you mistaken that with iris, I don't know. That's not what I'm not smelling no iris in here. So if you're expecting denser, you know, more quality, you're expecting a different show here. I'm sorry to tell you. You want a good plum, this isn't it. It is a one-dimensional Le Male. Think Ultra Male, right? And again, it doesn't always have to be a piece of art. And Ultra Male has its fans. The Le Male Elixir has tons of its fans. But this is right in that cusp of there's no transitions. The notes are quite garbagey. This is not a premium brand, unfortunately. Yeah, Puig ruined the Le Male DNA, honestly. There isn't much here for me to really praise. Now let's talk about seasons, day-night versatility and performance. Seasons, fall, winter, and spring. It's the thinner version of this one. It's less robust, less in your face. So it makes it a little more versatile, but again, versatility and Le Male Elixir, they don't go hand in hand. This is like a party fragrance, honestly. That's pretty much it. Day or night, I feel like both, but very juvenile. So it's a casual wear scent, honestly. I'm not gonna dress this one up at all. Versatility, average. Again, it's a sweet thing. So versatility, you gotta cut it off for something. As far as youngins, like in your teens and stuff like that, if this is your signature, fine. You're a kid. But once you start getting older, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. We're all in this journey different, so I understand that. But honestly, it's time to put the playground away and let's start having some real men's fragrances here. So versatility is average. Performance, not beast mode. And you're gonna get this. You're gonna get these teeny boppers, TikTokers and stuff like that. Fragrance reviewers that shouldn't even have that tag. They're influencers. They're marketers. That's all they do. They make up stuff. Like, how are you judging your longevity and projection? I've been here for a very long time. I have my own little recipe of how I judge these things. I'm very calculated. You start saying 10 plus hours on everything that you just like, basically, and you put 5 or less hours on everything you dislike. That's how it works with influencers. For me, longevity on this one was okay. You know, you're looking for 6 plus hours for a decent fragrance that has some, you know, some oomph to it, right? Summer fragrances, they're gonna be less. This gave me 6 to 8. It's a little less than a 7 to 9 that I'm looking for this kind of scent profile, but 6 to 8 ain't shabby. 6 to 8 hours with average projection. It's not a bomb, no. Yeah, maybe it'll project itself in the first 60 minutes, but I didn't sense anything outstanding here as far as performance. It's nothing crazy here, maybe even less performance than this guy right here. So my final thoughts on Le Male Elixir Absolu. Jean-Paul Gaultier, Puig, if anybody from the company's watching and they're like, you know, maybe sales are great. Obviously they are if you're doing a flanker, but you got to bring back the Le Male glory days. And honestly, you know, all you need to do is bring back this. I know you can't bring back Francis K. He works for Zial now, and a lot of people hate him anyway. However, bring back the original vanilla formula. Get rid of that tonka fog. Keep the lavender. It's good. Bring back mint, but high octane it. A lot more mint. And what I would do with Le Male, you do kind of like a matte black bottle with maybe gold lines for the shirt and put oud in the back end, a westernized oud. That's something woody, dark woody, maybe even ebony wood instead of oud. Man, a woody Le Male would do, probably sales-wise no, but it would be fantastic. That's just me. There's tons of ideas that I would have with the Le Male DNA that would smell fantastic. This is not it. This feels redundant, first of all. If you own this, I'm hard-pressed. I can't even tell, I wouldn't suggest you to buying this. Extremely redundant. I think Puig, which is the ones that own the rights of the Jean-Paul Gaultier fragrance line, finally succeeded to finally completely destroy and remove anything Le Male in the series. It's a cash grab. It's lazy perfumery. That's what this is. If you already owned Elixir, this isn't worth the purchase. Disappointment yet again. Now the original here, Elixir, got 7 out of 10. I stand by that. 2 years later, still not really. And I've decanted it a few times, and when I decant it, sometimes I feel the urge to wear it and just see. It was a little too rough on it. No, it's a 7. It's rightfully a 7. If I had to give this one a score, the new one, it's going down. You're steadily, it sucks saying this because I love them all in the DNA, but honesty is the best policy, and I would have to give this one a 6 bottles out of 10. You are slowly climbing down the scale of 5 or under. It's a dangerous place to be on my channel. I'm at the cusp now. You know, there is some brands that I collect, obviously, as you can tell behind me. There is some lines that I collect since I started in perfumery. This is one of those, but I'm starting to doubt now. Like, I'm not in any rush on getting at all, 0. You know, I will most likely get it for collecting purposes, but it might be 3 years from now. I'm not in a rush, and neither should you. You know, if you're new to this and you see this guy and you're like, oh, this guy's a hater, blah, blah, blah. No. Slow down, Tiger. You know, I might have a point. Like, kind of just think about it a little bit. Do you need another one of these? What are you doing it? Why are you buying it? Ask yourself that. Are you a TikToker? Are you making? How much is the new one? Absolutely, like $100, $200 at least. Are you making $200 on your social media platform? If you're not making that in a month, that purchase puts you in the red as a social media guy. So that's the only people I would see buying this that will be excited about this and will buy it right away because you have a platform and you're going to get the money back. Other than that, if you own this will hold you tight until the spring and summer, and then until then the fall comes and maybe new things will come out that will be better than this. Just saying. That's just me. I'm being real. Now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in comments below, and you don't have to agree with me in the comments below. You absolutely not. I'm not an influencer. I don't need a whole bunch of people high-fiving me like I'm going down a runway and going, yeah, the new Le Mans sucks. Let's all put that in the comments below. You can agree with me. However, I'm not going to delete your comment. I'm not going to ban you because you disagree with me on a fragrance. You better smell it though, and let me know what you think about it. If you love it, put the flowers in the comments. You know, don't come after me saying my nose is broken. No. No. Sad. And all these gold bottles, I feel like smashing one. That's what I feel like doing right now. As always, a great pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one.